I hope that you are having a good day so far. All right, so for today, we shall be doing our grade 4 English lesson, and we'll be doing our grade 4 English lesson on subject and predicate. And before we go into what a subject and a predicate is, we are doing our lesson on aplusstudents.ca. So you're going to log into aplusstudents.ca with your username as well as your password. Once you have logged in with your username as well as your password, and then you are going to select the subject of language arts, and then we choose grade 4. Once we've chosen grade 4, you're going to scroll down up until you get to the chapter of subject and predicate. So then you select subject and predicate as the chapter, grade 4. All right, and the lessons that we are focusing on today, which is under the chapter of subject and predicate, is to identify the complete subject of a sentence, identify the complete predicate of a sentence, to identify the simple subject or predicate of the sentence. So that is going to be our focus lessons for today. So subject and predicate, right? So within a sentence, in order to basically form a complete sentence or complete thought, a complete sentence or complete thought, then you need to have a subject as well as a predicate, right? So in your sentence, there needs to be a subject as well as a predicate. So basically, every sentence has a complete subject and a complete predicate. If it does not have one of that, then it's not a complete sentence, right? Or it's not a complete thought, let's put it like that. So when it comes to a subject, right, a complete subject, it tells who or what is doing something. So the complete subject, it tells us who or what is doing something. And a complete subject can be one word or it can be more than one word. It depends, right? If it's one word, and then it can be, for example, let me. So it can then be John sleeps peacefully, right? So if that is our sentence and we need to identify the subject, right? Because it says that the subject is who or what is doing something and can be one word or more than one word. So which means that John is then our subject. So John is our subject. Let me choose a different color. John is our subject, and it tells us who or what is doing something. If it is, for example, more than one, right? Then it's maybe more than one word. Then it's maybe things like the cat ran away, right? Which means that our subject over here is the cat. So subject is the cat. So your subject can either be one word, which is, for example, John, Or it can be more than one word, which is like the cat. And this tells us who or what is doing something. And then we have a predicate. Then we have a predicate, and a predicate tells you what the subject is doing. So it tells you what the subject is doing. So if I write those sentences again, it was John sleeps peacefully and the cat ran away. Right? So if that is our sentences. So we already identified our subject as John and also the cat. That is our subjects, right? So now we know the subject is who or what is doing something, meaning John did something and the cat did something, right? But now we need to find the predicate within that specific sentence. Because remember, a complete sentence has a subject and it has a predicate. And the predicate within the sentence, it tells us what the subject is doing. So it will tell us what John is doing, it will tell us what the cat is doing. And basically, the predicate is a verb. So the predicate is basically a verb plus any other words that tells us more about it. So any other word that gives us information about the subject, that is the predicate. And once again, it can be one word or more than one word. So our predicate in the first, let's say, yeah, but John sleeps peacefully. We said John is the subject and then sleeps peacefully is our predicate. So this is the predicate and this is the subject. And then our next sentence, right, or other sentence, the cat ran away. Ran away is the predicate. And the cat is the subject. So every sentence has a complete subject as well as a complete predicate. And a subject, like we said, is who or what. So it's like you're asking yourself who or whom or what. And then a predicate is the action done or the action being done. That is the predicate. So now we're going to aplusstudents.ca. And once we get to aplusstudents.ca, you're going to subject and predicate. And we're going to the first lesson. So every sentence has a complete subject and it has a complete predicate. And remember, I said that within a sentence, right? Once there is a subject as well as a predicate, which is a verb, then that expresses or it forms a complete sentence. And the complete subject, it tells who or what is doing something. So the complete subject, it tells us who or what is doing something. And it can be one word or more than one word. And if we look at the examples, she sleeps a lot. So she sleeps a lot, right? Our subject over here is she. So who is doing the action or doing something? It is she. She's doing it. Or her friend sleeps a lot. It's like asking who sleeps a lot. You can say her friend. Her best friend sleeps a lot. Who or what is doing something? It is her best friend that sleeps a lot. So this is an example. These are but a few examples of a complete subject, right? Where it can be one word like she, or it can be more than one word, like for example, her friend or her best friend. So we are now going to select two words that make up a complete subject. A servant lit the candles. Two words. A servant lit the candle. And if we select the two words that make up a complete subject, then it will be a servant. And what is the servant doing? Lit the candle. But basically just a servant. Then we need to select three words that make up a complete subject. My leg aches. My leg aches. The three words that make up our subject. My leg aches. And if we select the three words that make up a complete subject, then we will choose my leg, my left leg, sorry. So my left leg aches, so we will choose my left leg. That is our complete subject, my left leg. And what's happening with your left leg? It aches. And now we need to select four words that make up a complete subject, right? The baby's tiny eyes blinked. Can you identify the four words that make up the complete subject? Four words. The baby's tiny eyes blinked. We need to select four words that is basically that makes up the subject. And if we select the four words, And then we will select the baby's tiny eyes. What happened to the baby's tiny eyes? It blinked, and blinked is our predicate. But for now, just the subject. The baby's tiny eyes. So once again, every sentence has a complete subject and every sentence has a complete predicate, right? The subject will tell us who or what is doing something, and the predicate is the verb, the action that the subject is doing. And those subjects can either be one word or it can be more than one word. So now let's go to our test. We need to select the two words that make up a complete subject. Two men delivered the furniture. Two men delivered the furniture. Is it two and furniture or two and men? We need to select the correct word or words to make up the complete subject. Is it two and furniture or two and men that delivered the furniture? So who delivered the furniture? So you need to ask yourself who is or who delivered the furniture. And if we select our complete subject, and then it will be two men. So who delivered the furniture? The two men, which is the subject. A pig snorted loudly. A pig snorted loudly. So we need to select two words that make up a complete subject. A pig snorted loudly. Is it a pig or pig snorted? So we need to select the two words that make up the complete subject within that sentence. A pig snorted loudly. Is it a pig or pig snorted? And if we select the two words, then we're going to say it is a pig. Because who snorted loudly? A pig snorted loudly. We need to select the two words that make up a complete subject. The sun shone brightly. The sun shone brightly. Is it sun and shone or the and sun? The complete subject. The sun shone brightly. Who or what shone or shines brightly? That is basically the question that you ask yourself to make it a bit easier. And if we select the two words that make up a complete subject, we will say it is the sun. So the sun, it shone brightly. All right, so now we're going on to identifying the complete predicate of a sentence. And once again, we said each sentence has a complete subject and a complete predicate. Once a sentence, has a subject as well as a predicate or a verb, then that basically expresses or forms a complete thought or expresses or forms a complete sentence, right? So we have a subject, and we said the subject is who or what basically does the action. And now we have a complete predicate. And a complete predicate, it tells what the subject is doing. So it tells what the subject is doing. And our predicate, it is the verb. And remember, we said that the verb is a doing word, it is an action, right? So it tells us what the subject is doing. So a predicate, it is the verb plus any other words that tells us more about it. So any other words that gives us information about the subject or what the subject is doing, that is the predicate. And the predicate, it can either be one word, which is just your normal verb, or it can be more than one word. Like we say, any other words that tells us more about the subject. So any other words that gives us more information, that is the predicate. And if we look at the sentences, right, here at the bottom, it says, her friend sleeps. So her friend being the subject and sleeps, which is basically the verb. What is the friend doing? Sleeps. So sleeps is the predicate, it is the verb, right? Or her friend sleeps a lot, right? So in this case, the same thing. Her friend being the subject and sleeps a lot, which is the predicate. And that is basically the verb, which is sleeps, and the other words, it tells us more about it. Because it tells us that she's sleeping a lot. And then we also have another one, which is her friend sleeps a lot on a weekend. So her friend being the subject and sleeps being the verb, right? And the whole predicate that tells us what the subject is doing is sleeps a lot on a weekend, because now it's giving us information about the friend. So it's telling us that the friend sleeps a lot on a weekend or on the weekend. So now we're going to select the three words that make up the complete predicate. Two men delivered the furniture. We need to select the action that they did. So if we select the subject, then it is two men is our subject. But now we need to identify the predicate. So two men delivered the furniture. So delivered the furniture is our predicate. So delivered the furniture, because it gives us more information about the subject, about the two men. What about the two men? They delivered the furniture. Now we need to select three words that make up a complete predicate. The owl captured the mouse. The owl captured the mouse. So before we select the predicate, right, our subject is the owl. So that is a subject. The owl is a subject, And the predicate is captured the mouse. So what did the owl do? It captured the mouse. Three words that make up a predicate. The explorer roams the world. The explorer roams the world. Before we select our predicate, our subject is the explorer. So what is the explorer doing? The explorer roams the world. And that tells us more or gives us more information about the subject, which is the explorer. He or she roams the world. All right, so now we're going to move on and do our test, right? Where we identify the complete predicate of the sentence. We need to select the three words that make up a complete predicate. Two men delivered the furniture. So if we select our subject first, then we will say these two men. So now, what did these two men do? Did they deliver the furniture or men delivered the? We need to select the three words that make up the complete predicate. All right, so if we select our predicate, then we will say delivered the furniture. So these two men, they delivered the furniture. Dad avoids the traffic. We need to select the three words. Dad avoids the traffic. If we select the subject first, then our subject is dad. Now, what about dad? What is dad doing? He avoids the traffic. Avoids the traffic. So we will underline or select avoids the traffic. The anchor sank quickly. The anchor sank quickly. We need to select the two words that make up the complete predicate. The anchor sank quickly. And our subject over here is the anchor. So what about the anchor? Is it sank quickly or the anchor sank? Which one is the predicate? Is it sank quickly or anchor sank? And if we select our predicate, then we will say it sank quickly. What sank quickly? The anchor sank quickly. All right. All right, so now we're going to identify simple subjects or predicate of a sentence. So every sentence, once again, every sentence has a subject and it has a predicate. It has somebody or something that they're talking about, and it has the action that this subject, something, someone, or thing is doing. And when it comes to a simple subject, right? A simple subject, it tells who or what is doing something. Simple subject, who or what is doing something. It is just a subject noun. So basically, the subject is just a subject noun, or it is the pronoun. So it is the noun, or it is the pronoun. So that is without any other words that tells us more about it. So the simple sentence, right? Or the simple subject, it tells us who or what is doing something, and it is just the subject noun or it is the pronoun without any other words that tells us more about it. So for example, she sleeps a lot. So now we need to ask ourselves who sleeps a lot, right? So basically just she. She sleeps a lot. Her friend sleeps a lot, right? So now we need to select the subject, right? So only friend, which is the noun. Friend is the subject over there. Friend, because that is the noun. Her best friend sleeps a lot, right? So if we select the noun, then it is only friend. The other words, such as her friend, her best friend, a friend, we do not add the a, the best, and so on with. We only put down the noun or pronoun without any other words that tells us more about it. That is a simple subject. Simple. And then we have a simple predicate, right? And a simple predicate tells us what the subject is doing, and it is just the verb. So our simple predicate is just the verb without any other words or information that tells us about the subject, about the subject. So a simple predicate, it tells what the subject is doing. But it is just the verb without any other words that tells us more about it. Because remember, we said that with a complete predicate, right? It is the verb and all the other words that gives us information about the subject. But in this case, with a simple predicate, it is only the verb without any other words that tells us more about it. For example, her friend sleeps. So the verb here is just sleeps, because that is the verb. We need to identify the verb. Her friend sleeps a lot. We need to only identify the verb. What is the friend doing? Sleeps. Her friend sleeps a lot on weekends. Nope, we only select the verb, which is sleeps. So each of these simple predicates, right, it tells us what the friend does. She sleeps. Without all the other information or the other words it tells us about the subject, only the verb. All right. We need to select the simple subject. Simple subject. An owl screeched above. An owl screeched above. The simple subject, remember, it is the noun. And if we select the noun or the simple subject, then it is only owl. Only owl. Not an owl, not the owl, just owl. And that is our simple subject. We need to select a simple subject within the sentence. My friend swung the bat. My friend swung the bat. We need to select the subject, the simple subject. And if we select the simple subject, and then it will only be friend, not my friend, not the friend, not a friend, just friend, just the noun. And then chimpanzees grunted at me. Chimpanzees grunted at me. If we select the subject within that sentence, then it will be chimpanzees. Nothing else. And once again, simple subjects, yes, it tells us who or what is doing something, but it is just the simple subject, which is the noun or pronoun without any other words telling us about it. And the same with the predicate. It is a simple predicate that tells us what the subject is doing, but it is just the verb without any other words it tells us about it. All right, so now we're going on to our test, where we need to select the simple predicate. And remember, we said that the simple predicate is the verb without all the other information or words that tells us about the noun, just the verb. The baby fussed all night. The baby fussed all night. If we select the predicate, which is the verb, is it baby or fussed? What is the predicate within that sentence? Baby or fussed? And if we select the predicate, then we will say baby fussed all night. Baby couldn't sleep. She fussed all night. The simple subject. The girl twisted her knee. Only the noun. Is it girl or is it twisted? We need to select the subject. Is it girl or is it twisted? And if we select the subject, then we will select the noun, which is girl. Grandpa introduced us already. Grandpa introduced us already. And if we select the predicate, right, only the verb, is it already or is it introduced? And then we will select introduced because that is a verb. All right. So far we have identified the complete subject of a sentence as well as the predicate of a sentence, as well as identify the simple subject or predicate of a sentence. So now we are going to look at our different sentences, right? And then we are going to identify the subject within the sentence as well as the predicate within the sentences. So if we, let me write it down. All right. So if we look at the specific sentences, right? Let's say, my sister paid the bill. If we look at the sentence, my sister paid the bill, right? Can you identify the subject within the sentence? Not the simple subject, the subject within the sentence. You must identify the subject within the sentence. It does not have to be the simple sentence, which is just a noun, the subject. And if we identify the subject, and then it will be my sister. So my sister is the subject. And this is a complete subject, right? Let's say complete subject. because a simple subject would have just been sister. And if we look at the predicate, which is a complete predicate, and then it will be paid the bill. And this is a complete predicate. All right. Let's say my dog bit the shoes. So my dog bit the shoes. If we select the complete subject within the sentence, what is the subject or the complete subject that would be identified within that sentence? The complete subject doesn't have to be the simple subject. So my dog bit the shoes, the complete subject. All right, so if we select the complete subject, right, then it is my dog. Because if this was just a simple subject, then it would have just been dog. But this is a complete subject, not a simple subject. And then a complete predicate, right, would be bit or bites the shoes. Bit or bites the shoes. And this is a complete predicate. So this is a complete predicate, right? And so far we've identified our complete subjects within the sentences as well as our predicate, which is the action that the subject does. And if we had to select the simple subject, right, then it means that we only would have selected, for example, either sister or brother or dog, or it's like one word, right, without the other additional things or words. And the same with the predicate. If we had to select the predicate, the simple predicate, then it would have been only the verb, not all of the information. All right, let's do one more. Let's say James wants to climb the mountain. So James wants to climb the mountain. So now we need to select the subject. What is the subject within this last sentence? James wants to climb the mountain or climb a mountain. So what is the subject within the sentence? And if we select the subject, then we will say it is James. And the predicate is wants to climb the mountain. So it is basically the predicate, all the other words, verb and all the other words that tells us about the subject. All right. All right, so we said that every sentence has a complete subject, right? And a complete predicate. So every sentence has a complete subject as well as a complete predicate. And the complete subject, it tells us who or what is doing something. It can be one word or more than one word. And then a complete predicate, it tells us what the subject is doing. And it is usually the verb plus any other words that tells us more about it. So it can be one word or it can be more than one word. All right. So that is basically our lesson on subject and our lesson on predicate, right? So we have now reached the end of our lesson on subject and predicate. Thank you very much, Great Force, for your interaction. Thank you very much for being part of the lesson. Should have a good day further.